Now for this hour, we start with the U.S. Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged abuses have shared their outrage following the U.S. government's release of millions of pages from the Epstein's files on January 30 this year. In a powerful statement, the survivors claimed that the identifying information about them remains in the documents, while the men who allegedly abused them continue to be hidden and protected. The letter, signed by 19 survivors, some using aliases, demands the full release of the Epstein files and calls for Attorney General Pam Bondi to address these concerns when she testifies before Congress next month. The survivors asserted that while the files include explicit details about their trauma, the abusers remain safe, their names omitted or left redacted, while the victim's identity is exposed. These allegations come after the Justice Department's release of over 3 million documents, which include at least 180,000 images and 2,000 videos linked to the Epstein case, while some documents contained untrue and sensationalist claims about Trump, according to the department. The files have only further fueled the controversy surrounding the case. Survivors' call for full transparency highlights the lingering fears of victimization and the pain of seeing their suffering revealed without the protection they deserve. They demand that all the information be made available and that justice be served in their cases. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Ben Aris. He's a former Moscow bureau chief of the Daily Telegraph, joins us live from Berlin. Thank you very much, Mr. Aris, for joining us again. Good to see you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Now, what are we to make of this latest releases of Jeffrey Epstein files?
It's a huge scandal, isn't it? I mean, the president, sitting president, has been accused of raping 13-year-old girls, and moreover, some of the other victims have completely disappeared. Don't know where they are. And in any normal country, this should have sparked a full investigation, criminal charges if applicable. Epstein himself was a convicted paedophile. The fact of his so-called suicide in jail is also highly suspicious, and yet the whole thing is being swept under the rug. The State Department, Pam Bondi, is obscuring the investigation. They haven't released details. There hasn't been a proper formal investigation. At the very least, one would have thought that given the severity of the claims against Trump in particular, but not just, it seems to be a lot of the elite in the States, not just politicians, but business people. Even Prince Andrew has been caught up in this from the UK. And nothing's happening. Impeachment process would be appropriate, if you ask me, at least to trigger an investigation. And now you've got the victims coming forward with details, that would stand up in the court of law, and yet it's not being put in the front of a court of law. And this just sort of underscores the fact that you've got a two-speed system in the States where regular people, particularly poor people, are regularly put on trial and jailed. And yet the elite, they get off scot-free, and either it doesn't go to trial, or if it does, the evidence is redacted. And if they are convicted, then they go to some farm and spend a few weeks in jail or a year, and then are released.
Yes, and so what about the survivors who have said that this latest report once again exposes them, the victims, instead of the perpetrators or the people who are to be brought to justice? What are we to make of that?
It's a heinous crime, and if you're a rape victim, then the process of coming forward and seeking justice is incredibly painful. I mean, we really don't want to go there if you can possibly avoid it. But if you're brave enough to do that, and I should emphasize you have to be extremely brave to do that because it just revives that horrible experience, then at least you should, in front of the courts, the legal system is there to, quote unquote, protect you from exactly this sort of thing. And what we're seeing here is a massive failure of the legal system to actually uphold its duty and protect these women, particularly children. There were children when this happened to them. And yet they're coming forward, they're giving the details, they're reviving all that pain, psychologically damaged their whole lives as a result of this, and nothing's happening. They're not getting justice. And as I said, for me, this is just a collapse of the legal system that protects the elite, ignores the law, and these women have to suffer all that pain all over again and not get justice at the end of the day.
Yes. Last but not least, how should Trump administration deal with this?
There's only one way. It's full disclosure. It's to hand over the documents, the evidence, of which there is a lot, and give it to an independent prosecutor to investigate, make the interviews, what have you, forensic evidence, whatever they can get their hands on, and then go to trial and accuse him to his face, all of them, of their crimes, and then the prosecutor has to prove their guilt in front of an impartial jury. And if they're found guilty, they should be sent to jail along with everybody else, along with the poor people who are, perpetrating similar crimes. They should face the same justice system and the same punishment as anybody else if they're found guilty.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Ayres. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on to Russia.